Sentry force fields. I mean, it's such a undervalued thing because we don't ever see it come into play, but the Ultralisk breaking force fields means that this army doesn't get choked in, that the Hydras aren't, removed from the playfield.
Oh, the Vipers do get some good pulls.
Great abduction. Directly into the jaws of those Geyser Blades. Storm's going to come down, but just backs away.
Yeah, wasted Storms there. Luckily the high tempo.
He also gets Roaches in 2 different bases while this goes on. Now there's cannons to defend, and this will buy him time to warp in. SnOvSki not going to get completely flanked by this, but once again, Stephano's got this main force in the middle of the map.
Well, he did see the Ultras, all right. So he's trying to get another Robo up, but he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to. These. There's so many storms. You got to use the storms where you send the Archons in, but you do want Archons against Ultras too.
Oh,
now, this
Hydra's
is not
just
all
eat the storms, so.
This is not all of the army that Stephano had either. I'm not sure why he felt the necessity to push. Like, there's still Ultras coming out, and might have been a really big mistake there.
Like a couple of blinding clouds to kind of just cover him while these blinks chase might not have been too bad either, but reconciling back at home, he's moving the Spine Crawlers to the front lines. He's got those Ultras out. He's got Queens for the Transfuses. He's so close to having 3-3 for the maxed out upgrades, but they're not here just yet.
Yeah, plus the Spine Crawlers, blessing and a curse for Ultras.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's more about just having the damage. Rather than sitting in the natural, there's nothing there to defend. He is going to have to take a 4th soon. It's problematic because he's tried twice in 2 different locations, over here, and they've been shut down both times. Well, Stephano has a pretty decent army to fight with right now. It's not going to stay that way if he can't rebuild anything afterwards. He's probably only going to just barely be able to afford Lings, in all honesty.
Yeah. No, SnOvSki hasn't really added any more Archons or Mortals into his army.
Though.
Maybe this army could do something. A Blinding Cloud goes down. That is a great Blinding Cloud.
It is, and the Transfuses keeping those Ultras high through the energy, or through the attacks. No feedbacks going down the backside. Couple of abducts going down for the Mothership core of all things. Blinding Cloud's leading way through for the Ultras to keep chasing into this. No force fields available. Sentry's a little too slow, so this is where the Ling Remax starts coming a little bit better. There's nothing to keep those out. Just Blink Stalkers running for their life. There's 2 Immortals at a time coming back at home, though, and a couple of Archons soon to be warped in.
Yeah, that is just, this always going to go back to that. Like, SnOvSki has an economy and Stephano doesn't. Stephano has an army. He's barely adding more to it, but it needs to actually kind of win here, or buy a ton of time to get bases. The Blink Stalkers, though, I don't know what that was about. Why didn't they just run? Why did they run into the Ultras? Whatever, but hopefully the Immortals come out here to save SnOvSki from making that mistake, honestly, of just pushing in without units that are basically like kind of hard counters to Ultras. Like, he should have waited for Immortals. He should have waited for Archons.
Well, the Ultras are chewing through the top of this ramp, but the Immortals, as we see, are just doing so much damage to Stephano. But this crazy army lead is now having to quickly dwindle. Is he doing enough damage is going to be the big question, because his opponent's still in the 4th base. There's still money behind this. The Immortals still firing away at this. With a couple of Hydras, a little bit of damage behind it, but the Ultras, can they soak those last few hits necessary?
Is he really going to do it? It's just like barely eking out 1 Ultra at a time. But SnOvSki's not able to warp in fast enough.
But there's Queens almost here. The medics! The bandages! Bring the medkits!
Stephano might have just done it. He may have just won with that army. He's been on 3 bases this entire game, guys. Like, that 4th base, they've tried to get up. They were just canceled. They were killed immediately afterwards. SnOvSki, you had a 4th base this entire time.
It's the Lings.
Running low on units.
It's the Lings that are going to make and break this thing on top of the Immortal Stephano. Ladies and gentlemen, he brings it back in game 2 and ties up the series now 1-1.